Time. About time. Let's see. I'm glad that I'm going through all this right now. Welcome. Man, I was over here trying. I was really trying. It's Friday, June 23rd. Hold on. I'm my own wingman today. I don't have nobody to wingman. I'm trying to get my recruit on board. I gave him to the weekend to figure it out if he want to be my fact checker. I'm waiting for that. I'm going to wait. We got a whole weekend to get it together. But until then, and my other person is gone. Welcome. I'm learning how to do all of this myself. But give me a break. Let's give a clap about that. It's Friday and I got a podcast tomorrow. I just wanted to talk about, so we're not gonna be on here all long because it's in the evening time. And I've been up since 5 actually this morning. Happy Friday and all that good stuff to everybody. Yeah, I don't know why it's not. That's probably better for me right there. So I'm on live and this is what we do. I got to do it by myself. Anyway, welcome. This is episode 5. I think it's 5. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I told you I'm bad with timing, but it's coming along. I wanted to talk about, I came across some IDs. Y'all know I'm talking from birth all the way until now. I'm 50 now, but I'm talking about from birth. Y'all got all my birth a little bit, pretty much. I'm going back and forth, so y'all get the story. It's up there. Go check it out. So I came across some IDs of mine where I used to work during my lifetime. Metro Tech Security. That's when I met Daisha's father, my daughter's father. Um, and Metro Tech Security, my mom got me. That was like it wasn't really my first job because I had jobs at like Christie's Supermarket, Red Apple. I always had a job. Let me take it back a little bit. I got IDs from like summer youth program. I worked summer program at the Department of Parks. I think that was my last one I worked. It was like, because when you're doing summer youth program, you can work all the way up until you're 21. So I started working at 14. So even though I did what I did in the street at 13, I always had a job. I'm always going to throw that out there. I was always one of those people that always had a job. So my first job, summer youth program, I can't even remember where it's at, but I know I got my IDs in I keep those. Those are like memorabilia from my past. I got like all my summer youth IDs, all my IDs that I worked summer youth. Um, I worked since I was 14 in the summer youth field in New York City. I was the first person almost to get my paper in. I'm not too sure. Some of my friends had that job too, but some of them, they did. They just didn't. I did what I did. I was doing what I was doing, and then I was working and getting what I was getting. It's just what it was. And I came across my Metro Tech ID. Those are stages in my life that I remember. And just having that ID, I was a security guard. That's my first time ever going into security. And I was a security at 51st and Lex. It's a woman's shelter. Horrible. When I tell you it was like tier 1. 1 is the lowest, below 1. Tier 0. And they had all types of women. It was women in there that died in their sleep. It was women in there that were pregnant. It was women in there that was getting raped. I never witnessed none of that, but I had to get with some women at that shelter. So imagine, like, I was 19 getting like my first like paycheck. My paycheck, I was getting maybe like $800, $900. Working at Metro Tech Security. Henry Best was my supervisor. I think it was African or Jamaican. He was the top security with the white shirt, the captain, lieutenant. It was always the lieutenant. I mean, the captain, lieutenant. Just like in police. And I used to be in the field. It was a lot of homeless ladies in there. A lot of them. Yeah, man, I remember I never wanted to be at the front desk. JA got me that job. My mom got me that job. I never wanted to be at the front desk because the front desk was where you come in. It's the metal detectors. You come in through the metal detectors. And it used to be this one lady that used to come in with like 1,000,001 bags, 1,000,001 bags. And sometimes she used to do it on purpose because she knew I had to check her bags. We had to go through the bags or whatever. But she still was coming in with stuff because technically back in the days, we wasn't really checking all of that stuff because it was like nastiness in those bags. She just had bag after bag after bag. Oh, I never wanted to be at the front desk, but I always wanted to be up on the floor because on the floor, back then, we didn't have phones. Like, we would have been on our phones if we had phones back then. We had books. We was reading books. So we would be on our floor reading books. We had a little tables and all that, little walkie-talkies or whatever to reach downstairs or whatever if we had a problem, whatever. Um, I used to like supervise the shower room and things like that. But I liked that job. It was crazy. It was like wow. I was wild too back then, so it didn't matter to me. But that was one of my jobs I had, along with summer youth program. Always had a job. Um, what else was one of my other jobs? I had another job with the security company. It's gonna come to me because when I worked there and I got assaulted. I got assaulted. I got a thing right over my eye. I was working in these buildings off of Soundview, and they had to get people to work in those buildings. And guess who assaulted me? Y'all would think it was somebody that lived in a building or something like that. A security guard that I worked with assaulted me. He was on his shift. I had like a high position. He was on his shift sleeping. I walked up on him like, hey, tapped him lightly. And he was like, don't fucking touch me, bitch. He was calling me all types of names and all of that. And I'm like, whoa, 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 hold on. Because now I'm in the building, I'm in a position. But I knew when you dealing with people like that, like he really needed his job. And at that point, he knew he done fucked up because when he started waking up, calling me, cursing me out, whatever, I'm like, hey, you know, the captain that was coming around or whatever, I'm just coming to do the rounds. He knew I was going to go tell. I had to report, I had to write it down or whatever the case may be. He just flipped on me. He wound up going to jail for assault on me. And come to find out, he was telling people that he liked me. Like back then, like what was up with niggas that like people and they assaulted people? I never understood that. Like men hitting women, sorry, sad, like just go take, honestly, leave the world. You shouldn't be here. If you're beating on women, like go do something with yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the security companies that I worked for. I learned that punch made me strong, like for real, for real. I took that like a G, like, oh, he punched me, got out the building, went and reported it. Everybody came running. And we had police that was coming around the clock, round the clock. This was over there. Where was this at? Soundview, wasn't Soundview? St. Anne's. St. Anne's. It was like real wild over there in them little buildings over there. So this is where that happened at over there. I never forget it. I won a lawsuit behind that too. I wound up suing it was actually a lawsuit for workers' comp because I got out of work. I got a lawsuit. I got paid, nice, and workers' comp. What else job I had? I worked at Christie's. I worked at Big Apple. I worked there with my people's Arlene Lewis. God bless her soul. She gone now. I was mad she died. When I tell you funny, funny, very, very funny. Like she could have been a comedian to this day if she would have been living or whatever the case may be, right? Arlene, I remember one time we was doing what we was doing. I'm telling you, your girl was a crook. It's just what it was. I learned what I learned through my environment. It's just what it is. I can't take it back. Again, I'm pushing out what I'm pushing out now into the universe. All greatness, everything. I don't do anything. You can't get me to go steal a leaf from the store. You can't get me to do anything illegal ever in life, right? So I'm talking about it now because I can sit back and say to myself, I'm not proud of what I did, but I'm talking about it. And sometimes it disgusts me that I did a lot of things. Like, I really did that, but I did it for survival. I didn't do it for nothing else. I wasn't doing it, oh, I'm just going to get up today and go do this for play, just so what? Again, my Supreme, he spared me. He spared me from a lot of stuff. Never went to jail. This ain't wood, but I'm knocking on something, right? So we worked at Gristides, and my friend, my friend Arlene, one time, this guy named Walter, he was the supervisor of Big Apple, and one day he told her to come see me in the office, and she was like, um, I was like, yo, Walter wants you in the office. He had just finished talking to me because we was doing some old crazy. We was downtown at them white people, at the Caucasian. We was downtown, 86 and Lex and all that. That's where all the good jobs is at the time. So I told her, hey, um, Walter wants you in the office. She was like, tell Walter to come see me. I'm over here at cashier 9. I'll never forget it, yo. I laughed so hard. I knew that was her last day at work. I knew it was her last day. She just got her stuff and she walked off. She already knew. We already knew what it was. But I didn't get fired that day. I got fired another day. I got fired, I think, for calling out or whatever the case may be. I didn't get fired for the things that I was doing. No. I didn't get fired for that. But I got fired for something else. I took it like a G. I'm out. What else job I had in my lifetime that I really like? I worked at, let me tell you a story. Y'all know I'm into the field with kids and teenagers and stuff like that. I worked at a facility in Yonkers, New York called, this is all in my prime years, doing what I did what I did, and I'm great at what I'm doing now, right? And y'all good over there? I'll take a sip of my soda. Anyway, so I don't drink soda. Y'all see me drinking. I be taking care of myself, but this is like ginger ale. Anyway, I worked at Lincoln Watts up on Hawthorne Avenue. And one day, my keys went missing. I worked there for a minute, out teenage unit. I used to work with the teenage boys. A lot of stuff happened over there. We had Malcolm X's grandson. He came to our facility too. It was big. David Dinkins, all of them. We had him. We had a couple people that made the news back then. He ran. I think back in the days, he killed his grandmother. He set the house on fire and she died. Yeah, Malcolm X's grandson. Around that time, so we had this other kid, and he stole my keys to my car. I had my Ultima. He stole my keys. Left campus, spent the block, was gone for like almost 2 hours. I didn't know, but by the time I found out my key was gone, he was just pulling back up. While the official said that I gave him my key and all that, man, I went through it with them people over there. But lucky he came back. He knew how to drive, and I didn't even really know how to drive, and I was driving the car. But I was doing it though back then. I was taking my time, and he stole my car. I got stories with these kids, man. What else happened over there? I had a management problem. I was fighting management up there on campus in a little community booth. All of that, like you ain't gonna, like I was reckless back then, reckless. Um, what else I did? What else job I had? Leaking Watts. I had another high profile case. While I was working at Lincoln Watts, I also was working at Woodfield Detention Center. I worked at like detention center at Woodfield. I worked in the detention center at Lincoln Watts was in Yonkers, but I worked at Woodfield. I would drive up there too to the cottages, to the detention center with the kids. A lot of them kids, they skated by on survival too, And that being said, one of the cases, I I really tried my best to help her get out of it. It was a issue in Troy, New York. This one was in the state of Albany. That detention center. I worked in a lot of detention centers, so many, right? I worked in the state of Albany detention center over there off of Mr. Jamal Ali. I gotta fact check my own joint, but I know I worked over there. Hey Google, what's the juvenile facility in Albany, New York? The detention center in Albany. Here's some details. It was Capital District Juvenile Secure Detention Center on Loudonville, it was upstate New York. Yep, 838 Albany Shaker Road, Loudonville, New York. He was the man over it, like big time. And I worked there. He did not want me to stop working there, Mr. Shabazz Ali. That was his name, right? We came across a girl that, because we was next to Troy, New York. What else we was next to Troy? Damn, I forgot all of them goddamn towns up there. These are all when I was young, too. I think I just moved up to Albany, too. I was still in my I was like 20, these early my 20, 24, 25. Yeah, because, yeah, I had to been young. I was still young when I moved up to Albany because I was living in 111th Street and I was commuting back and forth. I was going back and forth. I was staying with my sister out there. She lived out in Schenectady, but I was still working there and I'm working in downtown. Like I was hustling. I've always been a hustler. Never been without a job. It's just something about I gotta keep a job. I don't care what it is. If it was a job that was getting on my nerves, and I always knew to keep a job. And the job, it was a safe place for me to have. Like I knew I always had to have a job because I was not gonna let me not be without income. I didn't care what it was. I'll work 4 days up here and then 3 days down there. 4 days up there, I was off vacation. I'll pick up more shifts over here. Like if I was off for the week, I just put it on the shift paper. I need to come in to work. They always wanted me to work. Let me tell you, never got denied hours to work. Never in any facility I ever worked at. And I worked in plenty facilities. They always wanted me to work. Everywhere I went. Swans, you coming in, you coming in, you coming in, you coming in. Always work. Had to put a lot of kids down on the floor. I'm knock on wood too. I never had a kid attack me. Never. I had a couple kids curse me out and I'll do just like this, laugh at them, smile. But I never had no kids attack me at all. They used to call me the kid whisperer. I say that I've been saying that for years. They always call me that. A lot of people call me that. Where else I worked at? Well, I didn't finish telling you about the high profile case, which was in Troy, New York. A young lady and a young guy. It was her boyfriend, a friend of hers, and the dude liked her. She liked him. She was young, and they get in a cab. And when they get in this cab, I guess when it was time to pay, back then you had to pay. It wasn't no call, no Uber, or none of that. You had to have cash, get in the car, pay the cab driver. When it was time to pay the cab driver, he didn't pay the cab driver and he shot the cab driver. He went up the river for a long time. I think he went up for life. They spared her because I got involved as a detention worker. And I wrote the NAACP. Yep, I was on it. I was writing Oprah. So I had this in me for a long time, like getting knowledge. Like, how can I help somebody? How can I do this? I was getting emails. I was getting like, what else I was getting? What was that back then? All telephone numbers, like any connects. They call them handles now, but I was getting all the connects back then. Find out how can I help people. I was calling people. I was going out, doing research, trying to find out how can I assist her or whatever, getting the information to her mom. God bless her soul. I think her mom has passed away. Real good girl. She wound up going up the river. I think she came out when she was 18. She's doing very well right now. She's doing good. She had 2 kids. Um, she's doing good in life. Sometimes you gotta. I went to go see her in one of the facilities. I went to go see her one time, and then they wouldn't allow me to go back and see her because it was a conflict of interest because I worked there. So, but I would write her. She would write me throughout the years or whatever the case may be, just to keep in contact. To this day, we stay in connect on Facebook. Yeah, that's my people's like forever. Sometimes, when you don't see a person, it doesn't mean that you don't think about them. You know what I'm saying? Out of sight, but not out of mind. I see people that's on Facebook that I haven't seen in a minute, and I'll be wondering, like, what's up with them? What happened to them? I ain't seen them in a minute, but boom. Like, I just reconnected with an old friend today, talking to one of my old friends. We're going to be in a podcast tomorrow. Y'all going to see that. That's going to be live. Um, we're gonna be doing that tomorrow. And we was talking, and he was saying, "Hey, such and such person." I'm like, "Yo, that's my people." He was like, "You told me that you his big sis." He was like, "That's the OG. That was my guy, right? That was my people's." And we reconnected today. He was like, "Man, like you always been like we always was connected. Like when you connected with people, you connected, and you don't have to talk to a person every day for the rest of your life. Sometimes you don't have to see people for a long time, and then you reconnect with them, and you be like, oh, okay, this what you was at, this what you was doing, you still breathing. I know a lot of my peoples died during COVID. They just wasn't taking care of themselves. So it's just what it is. And that being said, so that was one of the jobs I had, and I've always been a worker. Um, I never had my own job back then. I didn't start my first LLC until I was an adult. Until I moved to Georgia. But let me go back a little bit. What else job I had that Summer Youth, Metro Tech, the security company that I got assaulted at. Um, so many jobs. The grocery stores, Gristides. Um, you already know my street, my pharmaceutical job that was off the books. I didn't get no taxes taken out of that. You know what I'm saying? What else? My early days. I always worked in the mental health field. Mental health is always where I've been at. State hospitals. What was my other hospital? Where was the other joint I worked at? What is that? Where's that? Where's that? The Center for Disabled in Albany, New York. I worked there for mad years. I got mad people jobs there. Mad people, family members, friends, all of that. They wound up working there as well. Um, what else? I always had a job. I've never been without a job. I don't know what it is to be without a job. Here I am 50, and I'm still business owner, entrepreneur, and still have to work in order to make sure this is working and this is being ran through funds through my contract job and funding this. Ain't it something? Yep. This is not bankrolled through nothing else but my own pockets. That's what an entrepreneur is. You got to bankroll. If something that you really want, you got to, okay, this is what I got to do. You start out big, save this amount of money so you can, and then funding, sometimes you'll put this amount of money away for funding, and then boom, something else come up, and you be like, God, I had this in the budget, and that was it. Now you pulling out more resources. Now you got to fund more. Now you got to do more. Now it needs more. So it's stuff like that, but it's well worth it. I listen. If I can stay in this building and live in here, I would live in here. Just honestly speaking, I love my building. I love my building. I love the connections that I have, and all of that. But I'm gonna go back and tell you some other jobs I had. So I didn't become an entrepreneur until what 48. 48 years old, I became an entrepreneur. 47, 48. Yeah. It's well worth it. I wouldn't give it up for nothing. Once things start coming into portion, that's what they call it, everything is gonna start falling into place. It's already falling into place now, but it's gonna fall. It's just gonna fall all the way, like locked in. So it's coming. My time is coming. Not mad at all. I know I had some more jobs. I had some jobs off the book. I did security. Can't really stand on my knee because of an accident I had. Um, but security is something that I did too. I really love security. As y'all all know, I'm a private investigator now. Worked in, again, all the mental health hospital, majority all group homes with teenagers and stuff like that. That's my life. Um, no, that's not true. It wasn't 48 when I became my first entrepreneur. I started this in 2015. Not this, but a business. 2015. That was my first personal care home. Eye of the Swans. That was a name that I got from my brother. I took that name. I took it. I shouldn't have took it, but I used it because it felt right to me. And it's my brother's. And I terminated the business eventually because it wasn't working out. I had to. Sometimes when you get things going and you think like, oh, I got it, it just doesn't. You gotta be at peace with it when you're closing it down. Close it down onto something else. Just what it is. Part of my life, my job. It was another job that I had that I wanted to talk about. Did I ever work I didn't work at the Gap. Oh, this is the job. Conway's. I used to work at Conway's on Third Avenue. That was like my little retail. That was like when I was like my teens, my late teens. I had to be like 19, 20 when I worked at Conway's. Yeah, Conway's. I used to go back in there and rob and steal out of Conway's. God forgive me. Supreme forgive me. He forgave me. I was doing too much back then. Those were the days. He forgave me for all those things that I did. I just made peace with my life, my before life. I did. This is my second life. I made peace right when I turned 50, like right before 50. 49 in a couple of minutes. I let go of everything that I did before then. And this is considered this is considered like my third chapter, my third quarter, because each quarter, they said your first quarter started when you was like in utero, something like that. I was listening to something, man. Don't get me, because I'll mix up some stuff. So this is not my third quarter. This is my second quarter, because the first quarter is 1 to 25, and then 25 to 50 is second quarter, right? And 50 to 75 is my third quarter. This is my third quarter. I know I was not bugging. This is my third quarter. I kept saying this is my second quarters. Sometimes when people birthday, they be like they 46. I be like, happy 4 dimes and 6 pennies. It's just what it is. But this is my third quarter. I'm going in my third quarter. And I made peace in my before I came into my third quarter, everything, like the transparency. Anybody ask me anything, I'm ready to tell it, say it, like what it is. If it happened, it happened. Like, you know, this generation is more this. Our generation is more this. And that was because we was taught you got to be seen, not heard. This generation is heard and seen. Like they just in the forefront. And a lot of things that they got, what, the gentle parenting going on now. We didn't have that. You already know I got beat with sticks, brooms, extension cords, hands on a fire. I just was showing somebody that I still have bruises on my hand from, y'all see them right there, they like, because this hand swelled up so big, like a dope fiend, bigger than a dope fiend. And I was a kid. It went and it got infected and all of that. Like, and then I had to stay home. I couldn't go to school, nothing like that. When I had bouts of big cuts and gashes and stuff like that, Marion would keep me home because she didn't want me to go to school and start talking about it. She wanted me to let it die down. I never talked about it with nobody. I kept silent because that's what we was taught, to keep silent. You don't say what's going on in your house. And honestly speaking, that right there, like my kids, like if anything ever happened to them, I'm quite sure they would have told me because they were in the era where they could talk a little bit or whatever, but I probably wouldn't be here. I'd probably be in the jail. Like I would, like all the stuff happened to me. If any of that happened to my kid and they were somewhere else and somebody was doing that to them, so help me. It it just wouldn't be a good look. I don't play those games. You don't beat kids. You don't hit kids. And I tell a story. I had to smack my daughter one time because she lit a candle. Like, girl, who told you to light a candle in the house where we live at? Like, and people, you burn this whole joint down. I think she had to be 7 or 8 years old when she lit the candle. No, 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 no. I smacked her, but I never beat my child, and that's because I was abused. My son, I had to get with him too because I'm a female. Like I had to get with him maybe once. I'm a stretch twice in his whole life. He'll tell you. I was more of a, you want a red face? That was what I told people, kids. My people used to testify to that. They used to tell their kids that, you want a red face? That's what I used to tell people, kids. My friends' kids, like, we didn't play the radio. Like I was more, I didn't want what Marion did to me it affected me, like it really did. I kept quiet about it for many years. I didn't talk about it because it was more so like, you got to keep it in the family. But over the years, even though some of my friends didn't even know, like people didn't know. People see my podcast, they be like, we did not even know that. And I'm like, well, it happens. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna continue talking about it. Like I'm telling all kids, if somebody's beating y'all, abusing y'all, speak up. Tell somebody. If you see me in the street, stop me. Like, hey, I know you. I seen you. Help me, because I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna make sure your mama go to jail, or she gonna have to correct everything she did, because it's no game. You don't. A slap is a slap, right? We can slap. That's what they took beating out of the homes back then, right? So they say you can do a type of forceful, not forceful, restriction on your kid, which is like a slap. You can't take a belt out and beat your kid. You can take your hand and beat your kid on the bottom. You can slap them, but you cannot leave marks and stuff like that. A slap is cool. In the heat of the moment, who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? Let me give you a clap for that. Sometimes these kids, they need a slap. They be running off with their mouth like da, 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 and they don't know they're being disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? When you try to tell them, who are you talking to like that? It's a form of respect when you're talking to an adult. Because when you get my age, you're gonna want the same type of child your age to talk to you with respect. So let's practice it now. You understand what I'm saying? So this is why I never abused my kids. I just couldn't, because it brought flashbacks. If I thought about that, I was like an angry person, like angry, and like my face showed it all. So my kids would see my face and they would also, they would like, let me straighten up now. So my face said it all, or the words that came out of my mouth. Now those things is vicious too. When you're telling your kids, I wish I never had you. I wish you would have got rid of you. You ain't shit. You ain't nothing like your mama. You ain't nothing like your daddy. You're going to be drug addicts. You're going to be on drugs. Soon you get 18, you can get the fuck out my house. Don't do that to your kids. Don't do that to you. Let your kids stay as long as they want to. When they start walking out the door on their own, let them. Be their support system. Be there for them. I just had a situation with my eldest, right? And in the midst of things, I took care of her. I didn't give her up for adoption. I didn't do her like my mother did me. I felt like when I was reaching out to her, she wasn't reciprocating what I was, trying to reach out to her about. And so I just stopped talking, like, you know what? Hey, she ain't talking to me. I ain't talking to her. I tried. I don't remember doing anything to her because I don't. Only thing I can remember doing is sending a Zelle or a Cash App or what's the other one with the Apple Pay? That's all I can remember doing. Or can I borrow this? Can I borrow that? Like, just what your kid the normal do. So in my mind, I'm internalizing like, oh, she not messing with me no more. What did I do? Like I'm going through all these thoughts. Like I'm trying to help her, process like what's going on with you, why you feeling this way about the situation. And it didn't have nothing to do with me. It's just because it didn't have nothing to do with me. But I'm trying to process and try to find out. So in the end, what I came to realization is that you can't help everybody in every situation. You can't have a response to it. You just got to let it go. Like it's not for you to figure out. So you fall back and you wait for it to come back. If it comes back, then it's meant to be for that person to talk to you or to explain to you. And sometimes, 9 out of 10 times, they're not even going to come back and explain something to you. It's going to be another Zelle, another Cash App, another that. But then you're going to go along with it because that's your child. I don't want to see my child in no shape or form hurt or anything or doing bad or can't eat and none of that. That I'm going to help out any kid that I see. I worked in them hospitals, so I used to always work with the kid. The Unit 6 girls. Those are the girls, man. I used to get a call from the COO who would tell me, when you're on campus, and I was PRN, right? I used to get full-time hours. She would say, when you're on campus, you go to Unit 6. I need you on Unit 6. So I would go to Unit 6. Unit 6 was the pop off unit. Pop off. When I tell you they was popping off, they were popping the locks to get out. It was a lock unit. These were girls with mental health. Girls that were cutting themselves. Girls would find anything like a staple and write their name on their skin, all of that. Things that we have no control over that, they put, parents put them in hospitals and stuff like that to get the help that they need and put them on medication. It doesn't help, and just honestly speaking, don't put your kids on medication. It don't work. It don't work. It puts a stigma on them. And from that stigma, once they know they was on medication, they constantly, they reaching for that high. It's a high. It's an upper and a downer. The medications, they get you either up or get you down. Either or. Don't put your kid on that from 5. There's so many ways to teach a kid some stuff. Breathing techniques, pressure points. It's so many things. Let's sit down, you and me, on a book. You can keep a kid calm if you really did it on a one-on-one type thing. You don't need medication. Parents, I can't do it. I did it. I'm an example that you can make it through. I was a teen mom, and I made it happen for mom. Let me get a clap for me being a teen mom. Teen mom, baby father, what they say, mama's baby, papa's maybe. That is so true. But them fathers have stepped up. The fathers now stepped up. I wasn't, my kid's fathers was dead, except Diane's father. I talked about that. Real jackass. Just what it was. He was a jackass. To this day, I told you I want to talk to him. I want to talk to his wife, his girlfriend. That's with him, so she can know the real story. And I told you the transparency of it all. He just walked out on a dope girl. My daughter's dope. She's still dope, regardless of what me and her relationship is. She's dope. She about that life. She about that life, and very fashionista. Went to school, very smart, very educated. He missed out. It's just what it is. My son's father's in his life, been in his life, made sure that incarcerated and all. We on his flight, we on his plane, we on his train, we on his car, we going. It's just what it was. Sure was. I didn't have it. I was broke. Like, I was really broke. I remember I went through a time, even though I had a job one time, I just was doing the bare minimal at the job. Like at this time, I wasn't like, I think because I suffered from depression. A lot of people don't know that. Some people might know that. A lot of women go through this postpartum depression. I went through that. When you go through it one time, it's a fact that you're gonna go through it again throughout your lifetime. That's why sunlight is my best friend. Um, Sunlight, talking, saying what I want to say, how I want to say it. These are my two best friends right here. One time, my doctor tried to put me on medication. I took it. What was it? Lexapro? No, it wasn't Lexapro. It was one of those medications, but it wasn't good for me. This is when I was like, right when after I had my daughter, I was like going through it. Like, why am I feeling this? I went through it again when I had my son. They put me on medication because they ask you these questions, right? This is how the doctors do. They ask you these questions. Um, have you ever felt like killing yourself or stuff like that? You were like, no. Have you ever felt down or sad? You were like, yes. Those are normal emotions, not killing yourself, no. But I felt low one time in my life, and it was actually around the time my friend went to prison. I was feeling low. So I was working. I was just getting by, like really trying to pull myself out of like the depression. I still suffer with it. I have my highs and I have my lows. When you're depressed, you go up and down. And I had my lows and I had my highs. And I didn't have no money. But nobody knew that. Nobody knew that. I was broke. And I so when I say I had no money, I had just enough to pay my rent, just enough to pay the lights, just enough to pay, get gas, sit in the house, watch television. Didn't do nothing. Was sit in the house with the lights off, so I wouldn't be running up my light bill. Um, we were eating the basics back then. I think I ate shitty anyway. I didn't eat healthy back then either. Um, but I went through a real depression. And then my friend, it was like me, I was so high off of life at one time, and then boom, I hit rock bottom. Like I ain't have nothing, didn't tell nobody nothing, and then I had to start working myself out of it. And I felt bad because for one, I didn't have money to help my friend. She was in jail. I didn't have money. I just didn't, and I didn't know how to tell her that I didn't have money. So what I did, when a person don't know what to say to a person, they would close off from the world. I closed off from the world. Nobody heard from me. People were calling me. I would answer one or two phone calls or whatever the case may be, and just the bare minimum. I would just close myself off. I didn't have money. I couldn't help her. That hurted me more. So it was like I got more depressed. Other things, it was like stuff just kept coming at me, coming at me, coming at me, coming at me. And I'm like, why? Why me? Why? And when I tell you Supreme spared me from ever going to jail, which is a good thing, he didn't spare me from suffering from mental health and depression. He didn't spare me from that. That came with not knowing who I could talk to. Never was able to go talk to a therapist in my life. I told y'all my first therapy appointment was when I had an accident in 2021, just 2 years ago when I had a car accident. All my childhood traumas, everything started coming out. I couldn't really drive. I was freaking out driving. Like it took me some time to get back into the flow of driving. I'm back in it, but I'm like still eerie and nervous, but I'll speed up like, okay. And then I had to catch myself like, Gail, hold the fuck up. You should be speeding because you just was in an accident, right? So just going back to depression and all that, I didn't have nobody to talk to. I was afraid to tell people, well, I don't feel good. I have thoughts. I have racing thoughts. My thoughts are telling me to sit in the house, watch television, don't take a shower, just sit here, don't do nothing. It just kept me down. Like, don't eat. I wasn't eating, or I was eating bad. I drank a 40 ounce in a hot sun one time. Oh yeah, it was bad. I'll never forget that with a sweater on. And people were like, yo, what's wrong with her? Like people that really knew me, like I'm like, I didn't know what was going on with me. I was sad because, again, my friend was in jail. I couldn't help her. I didn't have money. I said I was going to send money. I didn't have the money to send, which I was lying and saying I was going to send some stuff and never sent it. I did go visit her in the jail one time, but I never came back after that. I think that's when my depression hit. Like, my friend is not here no more. And we ran the streets. We did everything together. It was like, and that was my only friend, like my real friend, her. And then I had another friend. And then my other friend, we had a falling out too. It was like a depressing state because, truth be told, those were like the only two people I really loved in life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm got to get emotional because I don't want to get emotional, but I am emotional because we all had a falling out for a long time. And friendship means the world to me now, right? Nobody can never get me to say or do something. If I can do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you I can do it. If I can't do it, the transparency of it all, I'm going to tell you I can't do it, right? Because I do not want nobody to think that I can do something I can't do it, right? Like I did before. It was like I was lying. I don't never want to be a liar to nobody. I always want to be a truth teller. Excuse me, y'all. And I'm sorry because I'm emotional with that part, right? Because that was a part of my life that I can sit back and think, like, those are my friends, you know? And I never want to have that feeling again. It ate me up. Like, damn, y'all was on highs for years. We was getting in the street. We was having a good time. And then boom, now you don't have these friends no more. And yeah, you got to make new friends. You got to learn new people and stuff like that. And that ain't easy neither. Whoa, it's not easy. But I was one of those magnets where people come to me. But I was like real standoffish. I'm a Libra. You know, they call us lion ass Libras. And that being said, you have to know who your friends are and who your friends aren't. And I'm gonna just take it back a little bit. Depression ate me up around that time. It ate me up for like 2-3 years. It really did. Not having no friends, not knowing who I can trust and stuff like that. And I felt like I was to blame. I just blame myself. So I ate it up like, fuck it, I'm gonna take it. I did it. And what got me out of it, it was more so like I went to go see a doctor, and the doctor gave me medication. And I took the medication. It made me feel good, but then it made me feel like, hold on, this feeling is not palpitating hard, headaches, sweating, all these things. I'm like, no, I'm not taking that. So they tell you, when you take a medication that you shouldn't take the medication unless you, stop taking the medication unless you're under a doctor's, a doctor gave you an order to, they bring you down from it, whatever. I just stopped taking it. It wasn't my thing. And if I know anything, I know you don't need medication. I got myself out of my depression after those 2 to 3 years. This is not who I want to be. I started, let me go to work. Let me work. Let me work. Let me work. Let me get my money right. Let me get my money right. And once I started getting my money right, everything started falling back into place. Bam, I'm back. Never fell in depression again, ever. Just what it is. It's about your time. I was doing things. I was having a good time. I was hanging out, just living life. And things started coming around. So at the end of the day, work was my safe haven. Work has always been my safe haven. But I'm not going to beat y'all head up today. It's Friday. This is part of my episode 5. So family, friends and foes, foes, friends and family. Deuce out. Talk to you later.